Hey guys, what's up today? I decided to do something a little different, and this is inspired by a YouTuber I've been watching recently. Sorry about my cat. We're going on a Reddit thread called Reddit No Sleep, where it's basically a whole bunch of scary stories. I'm home alone right now, so we're gonna see how much sleep I'm gonna get tonight. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, so I found the thread, and I'm gonna read a story called Jane. It was back in 2008. I worked as a screenwriter. Screenwriting was always a passion of mine, but I never enjoyed doing it as a job. I worked for a TV network, and we would sit around and churn out a different script every month or so. Everything we came up with was dull and uninspiring. Okay, me and my life. The network decided they wanted to make a romantic comedy, an original TV movie. The head screenwriter, Tom, came up with the concept, so simple and plain. A young couple went on a honeymoon, and the wife's overbearing mother tagged along and prevented them from having any fun. It was a bad idea from the start, but we tend to throw that crap at the wall and see what stuck. We were going to work with it. So I was thinking the couple's names are Anne and Paul. Not that it matters. And the mom, Tom began professionally as ever. Her name's Jane, Matt cut in. Matt was another one in the writing team. There was three of us. He was young with dyed blonde hair and dark circle around his eyes. Always wore black jumpers and scarves, too edgy and alternative for all of it. We thought with a Y. Jayne. Yeah? Tom responded, writing it down in a notebook. Okay, that could be like the title. The Y's kind of a gimmick because it stands out. So Jane, he hates her, right? Max went, leaning forward on the desk. Paul loathes Jane. Second he lays eyes on her, he hates her guts. Loathes is a bit of a strong word, isn't it, for a film like this? I get he'd be inconvenienced by her. She's getting in the way, sure, but he'd want her gone. He wanted her dead, Tom. Okay, no, that's a red flag. Jesus Christ, what? Tom sighed. Max leaned in and lit a cigarette in his mouth. He'd probably try to kill her. What else can he do? He can't just get her to leave. She's so protective of her daughter, and she never trusted him, you know? Jane saw right through him. Knew he'd probably kill her. That's why she's here with them. Okay, no, that's a giant red flag. That's like, nope, no, 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 no. What Max is saying, I piped up. I get it, right? It could be a dark comedy. So he's on this honeymoon with his new wife, and her mom comes along, so he can't do anything with her. He could try to kill her in really daft ways, never works, but at the end they make amends and she gives her blessing. This is still getting a little too dark. Yeah, you think? Wouldn't you agree? We're making something silly and harmless to go on at like 1 in the afternoon. It's just a comedy and you're making it out to be some kind of horror show. The network puts on horror shows sometimes, don't they? I tried, still foolish thinking this could work. And there are a lot of horror fans out there. It could be like a cult classic. I don't think either of you, Max mumbled, pursing his lips like he was worried. I just imagine like the whole film just now. I've got a really good idea of it. Tom rolled his eyes. Well, enlightened us. Okay, why are you letting this guy go on? Like, he is not okay in the head, obviously. Apparently has some issues with his mother-in-law. Max jumped his fingers on the leg of his chair. Okay, I'm picturing it now. Imagine if we're just starting it out like any other rom-com. As they're getting married, there are a few scenes with them. We're drilling it to them. These two are so happy, so in love. Then as they book into their hotel rooms, the stupid old bidden Jane dumps all the bags in the corner, sets up a camp bed right in the honeymoon suite. I said it before, she never trusted them. She didn't ever think her daughter was safe with him. She knew she was in danger from the moment she saw him. Max, are you saying this man's abusive? Tom asked. You know, that's a big... Well, she knew he was in danger, so she goes on the whole honeymoon with them. She won't leave them alone for a second, because if she does, that's it. He'll do what he always intended to. She's a good mother. She wants to get rid of her. Tries everything. One night she confronts him, says, I know what you're going to do with her. I know what you did to those other girls. And so he cleared his throat, then looked at both of us expectantly. We said nothing. So he hits her, thinks twice about it, and then he goes. Can't stop himself. She's on to him, and how else can he get out of this? It's night now. His girl's gone to visit some cousin who lives in the area for the night. Probably a lie, but he's got more important things to worry about, like Jane. He puts the body in a sleeping bag, zips it up, puts it in the boot of his car. She's not dead yet. So he brings a rolling pin, lays down the sleeping bag, and he bats it. Max suddenly looked up like he was trying to make us jump. I don't want to hear anymore, Max. This is ridiculous. Tom going, yeah, no. Max, what the heck is wrong with you? Well, he does. He hits the body again and again with that rolling pin. He can almost hear her squirming it. He doesn't open it to look at her, but he imagines her body like mincemeat in there. He kicks her body into the river once he's done, and she's gone. What happens in the end, Max? I asked redundantly. So does the girl ever find out? She realizes after a while, but she didn't dare say anything. Loves him, I guess, or scared. She loves him, and so she's so scared. She isn't going to leave him. Not anytime soon. You know what, Max? I'm going to forget everything you just said. I'm going to see if there's another pitch we can work on, Tom settled calmly. And I guess that was the end of the Jane discussion. But afterwards, you can tell Max found it hard to let go. Clearly, it was a story he had in his mind for so long, and he was so passionate about it. Maybe a little too passionate about it. He talked about how he had written the whole script for it, possibly even a novelization. He was proud of his creation, too proud of it, we thought. I don't trust him, Tom told me once. I don't think it's a story. I think it's all true. I think he did something, the way he talked about it. One day I came into the writer's room, and Tom was sat alone. He nodded at me as I sat down. Max won't be working with us anymore, he announced, looking a little more miserable than usual. I guess you would have heard? Heard what? He's been arrested for something really bad. I've not heard anything. What did he do? He murdered a woman. They found her body in the river, traced it back to him. The news hasn't said much, but don't you think, he cleared his throat, don't you think we should have told them what he told us? It could have been a confession. I shook my head. I'm sure it's nothing to do with that. In the end, it was. It was his mother-in-law he killed, and he had put her in a sleeping bag and beat her to death with a rolling pin. His wife said she suspected he killed her, but was too scared and loved him too much. But the woman he killed, her name was not Jane, but he called her Jane. In all his screenplays, in the novelization he wrote, and in the many videos they found on his computer, he called every woman he killed Jane. Okay, what? Okay, so I found another story. It took me a little while to find it. In fact, I made myself some supper. Well, finding a story. So, this is called There Is Something Strange Happening Here. I could use some major advice. Things are getting a little strange around here. I'm a long-time lurker, but never thought I would ever have anything to write about. Recently, however, things took a turn towards the strange, and I find myself completely out of my depth on how to handle it. Yesterday, we moved into a new house. My family is made up of myself, my twin brother Eric, and our parents. Eric and I don't look much alike, any more than a normal brother and sister look alike. We're also completely different from each other personality-wise. Eric has always been outgoing, the popular kid at school. I'm the sort of dork that likes to go see slam poetry and was thrilled when I got a job writing for the school paper. Dad's job let him go a few weeks ago, and his new job required us to move halfway across the country, to a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. So small that the schools are all held in the same building, because there's just not enough kids here to justify having actual separate schools. Our house is so far off from any other buildings, a good 20-minute drive into town. I guess you could call it a cabin. It looks enough like one. Sort of looks like it came straight out of one of those fairy tale books. Pretty garden, set to a backdrop of a forest that disappears off into the distance with hills and mountains even further off. My bedroom is right next door to Eric's, on the upper level of the cabin, with our parents downstairs in the master bedroom. At first, I loved the cabin. It really did look like it came out of a fairy tale, and it was just the sort of place I could fall in love with and want to live in. But something's not right here. There's this strange smell that lingers in the air. It smells damp, rotten. But the moment I start to think that it smells, suddenly the smell is gone. I find myself thinking that I'm being stupid. The place is perfect. When I finally went to sleep last night, I had a horrible nightmare too. I don't usually dream, so I feel like this is somehow connected to whatever is going on here. In the dream, I was walking through the forest. I thought it was the one behind my house, but I don't know how that could be since I haven't even gone exploring in the woods yet. There were lights between the trees, tiny pinpoints of light that seemed to bob and weave between the trees and the branches in every shadowy place around me. I kept walking as I did, and I became aware of the voices. It was like 1,000 people all whispering at once. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but the whispers just kept growing in volume until they were all screaming at me. It was only when they were screaming that I realized something. Those pinpoints of light, they were eyes. I woke up covered in sweat, feeling like there was a tightness in my chest. Jeez. I hate, though, like every nightmare is terrifying. We went shopping today, and there's people like us who moved here for jobs, and then there's people who've lived here their whole lives. The ones who've been here a while, they seem scared. I mean, I saw a woman walking around with her baby daughter, and the stroller had old-fashioned forks hanging from it right above the baby. Okay, that is not safe. No. Why? And there's no kids. I didn't see a single child besides the baby while we were out shopping. No parents with their kids, and the few people we did see, one's not here on contract, kept looking at my mom like she was crazy to walk around with me. I don't know what's wrong with this place, but I can't shake the feeling that something is very wrong here. The buildings all look perfect, but there's a smell in the air. The same smell from the cabin, damp and rotten. The food looks perfect, but it also smells strange. Okay, no, don't eat food that smells strange. No. The apple I just ate. This is gonna sound crazy. For a second, I could have sworn that the apple is rotten, with worms crawling through it. Ew. I only had taken one bite of it when I saw/thought of the worms. Mom was mad at me that I threw a perfectly good apple away, but I couldn't eat it after thinking about the worms. It's getting dark again, and I'm sitting in my room writing about this. I can see the forest through my window. It's probably my imagination, but I keep thinking I see lights in the forest. Pinpoints of light between the trees and the canopies of leaves. Every time I focus on the light, they just wink out. I'm scared. Yeah, I would be too! No! Screw that. No. I don't want to see lights in the forest. No. Okay, here's another one I found that said I took my sister to the beach, and I think this is going to be the last one. I took my 8-year-old sister to the beach yesterday. It was a beautiful sunny afternoon, and she had asked me if I could go to the lake with her. We lived about a 15-minute walk from Lake Michigan, and it's in mid-July, so the water is starting to become bearable. My buddy Ryan texted me that morning saying he wasn't feeling great and canceled our plans to go see the movie. Of course I'll take you, I told my sister, her blue eyes lit up at the response. Oh yay, I'll go get my swimsuit, she replied. After a few minutes, we were out the door. On our walk, she explained to me how they were starting to learn multiplication and division in her classroom, and how easy it was once she realized that division is just backwards of multiplication. I was so proud of how smart she was becoming. The 15-minute walk turned into a 20-minute walk, because she absolutely had to stop to pet the golden retriever puppy that was walking on the opposite side of the street. But we made it by noon nonetheless. Let's play hide and seek, she shouted at me. This seemed like an odd request, considering the lack of adequate hiding spots in our vicinity, but I obliged all the same. Okay, I'll count to 50. Ready? Go! I covered my eyes with both of my hands and began my count. The sound of children playing and splashing, accompanied by the crisp smell of the wind off the lake, was absolutely blissful. It was so relaxing. In fact, I had lost count in my head. Surely it had been a minute, so I opened my eyes. Ready or not, here I come. My eyes took a second or two to readjust to the intensity of the midday sunlight. I looked around for the nearest promising hiding spot. There was a bundle of trees to my right, and that was where I was headed. My confidence in my decision was made evident by the smile across my face. But when I got to the trees, there was no one. My smile faded. A chill ran up my spine for no apparent reason. Simultaneously, my body began to feel hot. Then it dawned on me. The silence, the sound of children had vanished. There was no squawking of seagulls flying above as they wait for the opportune moment to swoop down for pieces of food left by the beachgoers. Just the haunting sound of the waves as they rhythmically crashed onto the shoreline. I surveyed the beach, frantically looking for my sister. A million terrible thoughts racing through my mind. My heart began to race. That was when I saw her. About 20 yards off the shore, my sister was struggling to stay above water. I darted to the lake as fast as my legs would allow, running through the waves until I had no choice but to dive forward and swim out to her. No matter how hard I paddled, she never seemed to get any closer. Then, to my horror, she went under. I dove after her. She seemed to sink faster than I could swim, getting smaller and smaller. I let out a silent scream of bubbles right before she completely disappeared from sight. My scream turned audible as I jolted upright from my bed, tears pouring down my face. I gathered my surroundings. I was in my room. It was just a dream. The feeling of relief that came over me was so overwhelming that I just kept crying. When I finally gathered myself, I realized that my clothes were soaking wet, probably from sweat. Yeah, okay. I wish I could say that's the end, but there's still a few more paragraphs. Still shaken, I got up out of bed. As my feet touched the floor, I noticed something wet. I looked down, and there was a small puddle of water beneath my bed. There was actually a series of puddles that seemed to lead from my closet. No. I slowly approached the closet, my horrific dream still fresh in my mind. As I tried to grip the doorknob, it was as if my hands were made of jelly. I opened my closet door, and all seemed to be in order. But when I looked down, there was my sister, in her swimsuit, sitting with her knees to her chest in a puddle on the floor. She looked up at me. Her face was swollen and purple, water slowly running from her ears and nose. She doubled over and vomited water and blood onto the closet floor. Good job, you found me. No. I don't like that. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna end the video here. Those were some creepy stories, and I'm hoping I can sleep at night, hopefully. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing. And in fact, I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys want me to maybe start my own social media kind of surrounding this YouTube channel? Let me know. So that is all for today, guys, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a nice day. Bye! Then, as they book their hotel, so she brings a roll in. He nodded to me dully. He nodded at me dully, and all his how. Okay, my pillow just moved, and that scared the crap out of me. I dove after her. Bailey.